When it comes to collecting, what's constantly on one's mind is what item you'd want to get next. When you love a franchise, you want to show your support by purchasing some really nice products. But with a sense of love comes dedication, and I wanted to try and make my own Sonic item rather than buy one. I've always been a fan of the plushes. I'd say it's what I primarily collect, and decided I wanted to make my own plush. Not only because I thought it would look nice on a shelf, but also simply because I just wanted to see if I could even make a plush. After 3 days and a bunch of stabs from a sewing needle, I completed my very own custom Sonic the Hedgehog plush. In this video, I'll show you how it all came together and what it looks like all finished. I wouldn't follow this video as a guide or a how-to, as my methods aren't the best to follow, but hopefully by looking at the process you may find yourself inspired to try this yourself. So let's get into how I made our pointy little friend. Pointy, 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 point. As mentioned before, my inspiration came from looking at my collection and seeing all the plushes I have. I particularly like the Japanese Sega Sonic UFO plushes, so I based it off of those, but just didn't make them as plump. All the materials were laying around, like fleece and felt, so I didn't even have to go out to the store and spend a dime making this. Usually when beginning a project like this, people usually make patterns and trace them onto their fabric, but I kinda ran into it with no pattern. I literally just grabbed my scissors, my fabric, and a nice JPEG image of Sonic, and that was my only guide for reference. I first started with the head. In this picture you'll see all the seam lines, but when making a plush you sew your fabric together on the opposite side and then turn it inside out, also called the wrong side. Next I made another sphere for the body. The head and body were stitched together before moving on to details. Next came the legs and arms. The legs were essentially tubes that I pushed a pencil through to turn them inside out and to stuff them. Next came the iconic spikes. I decided to make each spike individually and started with the first top one. It was a nightmare. Sewing it onto the head was incredibly hard. I definitely would change this in future custom plushes. Sometimes we learn from trial and error. Next came the little shoes, and that was one of the easier processes. The socks were sewn to the legs rather than hot glue, and here he is so far. He looks like a strange ant. But now you can begin to see the face. For the face, I just cut out the shape of the muzzle and eyes, and the nose is one piece of black felt. Note that the eye shine is embroidered. Next comes the belly. Making a plush of Sonic is hard. There are so many elements that go into it. Trying to find a way to make it come together nicely while hiding all the stitching is complicated, but I'm relatively happy with how it came out. The arms are just like the legs, and the hands were essentially cut out as mittens and stuffed, and then attached to the arms. To make the fingers, I grabbed my embroidery thread and pulled tightly to separate them. After all of that, I was happy to call him done. And here he is. Let's take a look, shall we? When he was all finished, I was incredibly happy with him. I was just proud that I managed to make a plush, you know? Nowadays, I don't believe this is my best work. I've gone on to make a few other Sonic plushes and feel my later attempts were much better, but for my first try, there's a special place in my heart for him. It really was a fun project, and sometimes it's nice to make something and not spend hundreds of dollars on a plush. I'd highly recommend you all try at least once to make your own plush. It's a fun craft. Just make sure you work safely, and if you're younger, have someone older around, as the sewing needles can be sharp. As it stands, however, here is the boy. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you liked this, please say so in the comments. I've made more Sonic plushes, and I'd be happy to show them off if you all are interested. But until then, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for checking out this video. If you want to keep up to date with new videos or just see more of our collection, check us out on Instagram. We have a link in the description. Again, thank you for watching.